Hey Jack, can you hear me okay? Welcome, yeah, so welcome everyone to rounds, it actually has two there, but it's actually rounds 3 and 4 of the iDMC ProAM winter season. So we're just watching out on track. The cars are actually out on qualifying at the moment, so we're going to move over to our qualifying screens and get that off and up and running, Jack. Great racing lined up for tonight. Not as many as we seen last week now, in fairness, but still, it's going to be a really good night of entertaining racing. Who do you fancy? That's right, yeah.
It is going to be the feature race that is the all-important one, of course. But you just watch Pat Masterson there going around the famous Oak Tree corner here at Virginia. Of course, the circuit was rebuilt in 1998. It was built initially in the 50s, was nearly left to rot, and then came back in 1998 after a buyer came in, redone the whole thing with them. They kept the kind of nature of it with the oak tree at the bottom of the circuit and keeping just making it a bit wider for everybody. So it is going to be interesting now as we wait to get the last few laps of qualifying in right now, and then we will head to the feature race. Currently, Pat Masterson, currently the fastest man at the moment. James Wingfield across the line to set his second timed lap, and let's see if he's going to be able to go any quicker than he managed. He doesn't quite, but it's a 51.1, so not as fast as he did with before. We're now looking at Jack Byrne, who is in 4th place, and he moves up to 3rd on a 50.812. But still nobody able to displace Pat Masterson. Looking very quick at the moment is Pat, and yeah, it really is. There's Chris McCann up to 3rd now. Of course, Chris was our sprint race winner last week, so he's got a win under his belt already, and looking to try and recover back again. We're on board with Jack Byrne, who of course was battling really hard with Chris in the sprint race last week, and just lost the win in the last corner running wide. So Jack, we know, has got the pace under that car, so we'll wait and see as he comes through Oak Tree and down the back straight once again. And before we head to this was the kind of the key overtaking place in the Pro Series, and we got plenty of overtakes coming off there. So there, yeah, it seems that he's not quite on the pace at the moment. Is Jack Byrne? He's gone green, and then yellow. So that means he's slower than he did. James Wingfield currently, he's got a small improvement in one of the mini sectors. Improves here. I don't know if he's going to be able to find 0.2 of a second in the last corner. So we'll wait and see now. Here comes James Wingfield across the line in the number 13 car. Is he going to be able to improve that place? And I don't think he's going to be able to. It's a 50.6 was his best. He's a 51.0, and that is 0.4 off his best. He's not able to improve that position. Neil Ferrier dives away. There's Jack Byrne to the top. He does do it. Jack Byrne in the last few sectors managed to pull it together, 150.388, couple of hundredths faster, but Jack Byrne on pole. That is his second pole of the season. And Pat Masterson, though, that's a great performance from Pat. James Wingfield third and Chris McCann fourth. And that is going to be the grid for now. We're just going to wait for the last few laps to come in, of course. Smaller grid than we would normally have, of course. We currently have about 16 tonight, as far as I can see, looking at my screens here. So a smaller turnout than normal, but that doesn't, of course, translate to worse racing. It actually probably makes it a little bit tighter in this championship. As we go now to Mark Byrne, who's heading through Oak Tree right now. Currently on an improvement, he's P10. And he's heading down now, on board with them now. As he heads down the long back straight. Plenty of overtaking happened here during the Pro Championship last week. And you'll see now how tricky this section is. You can see the corner disappears from view over the top here. You've got to be brave here. And you can see the corner still can't see it. Then on the brakes, turning into the right-hand side, dropping downhill now. You see how the elevation just changes constantly on this track, and then dropping downhill into the last few corners here now. Big chunk of understeer gets caught on the curb there for Mark, and that's going to ruin his lap, invalidate it, and that is how simple it can be to completely ruin a lap around Virginia. So that's going to be his lap invalidated, as we have just about 40 seconds left of qualifying now, as we get the last few cars across the line to finish. But a great qualifying. Jack Byrne on the pole then, it seems, with Pat Masterson with a fantastic qualifying, I must say, from Pat into second place. And we've got guys who are just doing some extra laps here while they do. And then James Wingfield third, and Chris McCann will be fourth. Neil Ferrier top 5 for this one. And of course, remember, the reverse grid feature race is the second race of the night. And it's going to be an interesting one as well. Of course, points are equal for both races as we head now at the end of qualifying. Checkered flag comes out. And we'll now grid up for the first race of the night. It's Jack Byrne on pole position with Pat Masterson 300th back in second place. James Wingfield third. And then it'll be Chris McCann in fourth. Neil Ferrier fifth. Ronan Hederman in sixth. Ben McClockery in seventh. And Simon Wall. Then it'll be Max Hart and Mark Byrne in 10th. Then Aaron Dalton in 11th. And Damian McMullen returning in 12th place. Great to see Damian back on the grid in the number 299 machine. Then further down, we have Damian Mulvey and Anthony Files. David Freeman, and Timothy England will be the last car. I think there's only 16 on the grid tonight. So a few not setting times right now, but only a 16-car grid. And looking forward to this one now. Jack Byrne on the pole on your left-hand side right there. And Pat Masterson next to him. James Wingfield is the car number 13 car. And then you have a couple of other cars behind. You have, of course, Chris McCann in that fourth place in that VRA racing car just off the back. So it's going to be interesting to see how the starts go, because this race can be won or lost in the starts, as we saw last week. This is going to be interesting. Here we go then. Lights coming on in this sprint race here at Virginia. And it is green, and away we go. Good start from Jack Byrne, and a good start as well from Pat Masterson behind. James Wingfield getting a good getaway as well from that third slot on the grid as they head down towards turn 1. Neil Ferrier moves up to fourth as well. Great start from Neil as they go nearly 3 wide into turn 1, but a great start from Jack Byrne. He's got clear now, but Neil Ferrier makes the jump. It gets past Chris McCann into turn 1, and the guy's keeping it very clean. They've got 2 spinners in the background of turn 1, and that'll be a shame for them. I think they managed to escape without damage, but Jack Byrne in the lead of the race with a great getaway, and Pat Masterson now chasing him down in second place. And it seems James Wingfield hangs on to third place, but Neil Ferrier in fourth. Last week's winner, of course, he is in fourth. We look back now. Dave Freeman into 10th now as he chases after the cars in front. He's got Mark Byrne on his tail, as you can see down the front straight for the first time. And now we go back to the front again. Look at this now. Pat Masterson putting pressure on Jack Byrne in the lead of this race. Jack Byrne hasn't won a race this season, nor has Pat Masterson. Of course, has never quite secured a win, and he's secured a few podiums over the course of his Digital-Motorsports career, but never a win. And it'd be interesting to see if he can maybe try it and get one tonight. But Jack Byrne is the man on the charge right now in that lead position as he comes down the back straight for the first time. and he is now almost a car length in front of the car behind him of Pat Masterson. Pat will get the slipstream down the back straight, but he's not able to do anything now. Oh, Neil loses it in the background. He makes contact with James Wingfield. Round goes James, round goes Neil into the grass. He got it wrong on the brakes and slid into the back of the innocent James Wingfield in front. And again, there's a few more involved as well. I couldn't quite see. There's a third car that's just lost their front wing there as well, just losing it on the downhill braking. And that is a shame for Neil and for James, who was running well in that third place. But look back to this battle now. Aaron Dalton, who's leading that train there. That is Mark Byrne, I think, behind him, and Dave Freeman, who are battling for position here. There goes Mark Byrne to the outside line. Dave Freeman trying to find some space here. Aaron's going to lose that spot to Mark around the outside, and he heads into 6th place. And Dave now, Freeman down to 8th spot right now. But a shame for Neil, a shame for James, who of course losing that spot. But our leaders are glued together at the moment. Jack Byrne and Pat Masterson, who lead this contingent of cars at the moment. Currently now occupying that 3rd place is Ronan Hederman in 3rd place with Chris McCann behind him. So you can see them in the background there, the two VRA guys together on the track. And but I'm interested to see this fantastic fight now between Jack Byrne and Pat Masterson up the front of the field. That is a Digital-Motorsports veteran behind them in the form. Pat Masterson. Jack Byrne, of course, has been taking part in a few races. Oh, he gets loose on the way into Oak Tree, but he saves it, keeps it together. But that'll give Pat Masterson the encouragement he needs with a good run out of Oak Tree. This could be the moment now for Pat Masterson to take the lead of this race. They head down the front straight. Here comes Pat Masterson on the outside line. Jack moves to the inside line as they come up the hill. But has he got that run that he needs as he comes through? He's got now the outside line, which will turn to the inside for the braking zone. Pat Masterson round the outside of the top of the hill, and Pat Masterson leads here in Virginia ahead of Jack Byrne, who made a small error out of Oak Tree, and that costs him the race lead. But that is not going to be over. Jack Byrne, of course, we know has got the pace in that car, but he gets loose again on the downhill, and that's just going to give even more encouragement to Ronan Hederman, who sits in 3rd place at the moment, chasing these guys down. So really, really good stuff from the leaders. Here comes Jack Byrne again in the slipstream down towards turn 1, moves to the outside line, got a great run out of the last corner, and he moves marginally in front as they head down towards turn 1. It'll be now Masterson to the inside line. Can he hang on? Jack Byrne goes to the outside, looks for the switchback underneath Pat Masterson. That is perfectly executed from Jack Byrne. The switchback through turn 1, and that is absolutely spot on. You can see lap 1 incident between car 3 and car 51 under investigation. We should have mentioned as well our driver stewards for today, Jordan Kelly and Peter McCann, who are hard at work in the stewards room today as they head round the first couple of corners. But Jack Byrne back to the lead, but that small exchange now. Ronan Hederman closes in a little bit more in this great. But this is a great fight now. This is why we love the Pro-Am Championship. It's very competitive the whole way through. Pat getting close again now as they come up through the hill, and he's trying to find space, looking for his first Digital-Motorsports win, as is Jack Byrne, as is Ronan Hederman in that 3rd place down the hill. And now it down towards Oak Tree. You can see them named, of course, by that giant oak tree on the right-hand side as they head through. And now down the back straight they will come, as he can get himself now firmly in the draft of the car in front. You can see the lapped car just a little bit further up the road. But all good so far for our leaders. All clean. Of course, it's a 10-lap race. No further action between car 3 and car 51. In that instant, I believe that was down the hill. So now we're about to begin lap 4 of 10. And Jack Byrne and Pat Masterson putting on a show tonight here on the Digital-Motorsports channel. Looking very, very good at the moment. And driving really well, the both of them now. It's going to be the drive that Pat Masterson needs out of the last corner. He needs the run down towards turn 1. Fastest man on track at the moment with the fastest lap was Ronan Hederman, but Jack Byrne takes that away now on a 51.032. Masterson back to the outside. He's going to try and do a switchback, but Jack is going to be very wary of that and parks it on the inside line. It is absolutely perfect driving there from Jack Byrne. This is exactly what he did last week, just parking it on the apex. There's nothing you can do when you can't get that inside line. But still plenty of time left in this race for Pat Masterson to make a move. He has taken the lead already. A little bit of a mistake there from Pat. There was a little bit deep into one of the corners. You can see how much he's dropped back now as a result of that tiny error. And that'll give some encouragement to Jack Byrne here as he tries to get away. Now we go back to P10. This is Neil Ferrier trying to get past Timothy England. There goes Neil trying to go around the outside. A car through side by side with Timothy England, but gets in front in the 72. Tries to get the cut back, does Neil, but he can't quite do it. But he has to stay behind for now. Neil, of course, caught up in that lap number 1 incident. Got sent, well, actually got his braking wrong on the downhill and went into James Wingfield, but through he goes now. Makes it past and into P9. So he's recovering nicely now, is Neil Ferrier, and he is, of course, on the actually the top 15 will get inverted, as we remind you. So the whole grid basically is going to get inverted for the reverse grid race. So currently Anthony Files on the reverse grid pole at the moment, but still plenty of time in this race. Back to the leaders now. There is Jack Byrne still in the lead of this one of the 86 car, but Masterson closing in on him now as they come around the last corner on to lap number 5. Halfway through this race right now, and still plenty yet to come. This is exactly like we saw last week. 2 cars fighting to the end, and last week Jack Byrne led every single lap but lost the lead on the final lap. There's Masterson to the inside now. Does he think about lunging? He does. Goes up the inside. Masterson with a great run on the inside line. Can he get the traction? No. Jack Byrne just drives it around the outside with the extra speed he carried in on the outside line, and Masterson has to think about again. But this is very, very tight racing between Jack and between Pat. But you can see Ronan is getting a little bit closer each time. You can just see him just flashing through in the background. He'll be hoping that something happens between these two. Now through the middle sector they come. Down the back straight they come once again, with these two still locked in battle. Your top 5 at the moment is Jack Byrne, Pat Masterson, Ronan Hederman, Chris McCann and Max Hart in the 5th place at the moment. Masterson getting closer now as they approach Oak Tree now, getting a nice run through there, but he has to back off because there's no space to try and overtake. Through Oak Tree now they come for the 5th time, on board with Pat Masterson, IRE Virtual Racing. Now down the back straight with the run now. We'll see the draft starting to take effect, but Pat didn't get the greatest of drives out of Oak Tree this time, so he'll have to sit behind a little bit longer. But he's just being patient, biding his time. In the draft now, you can see him closing, but he needs a hell of a lot closer to make a move down the hill, and he knows that. And see, gets a little bit loose on the way in. Byrne a little bit wide, but gets away with it. As they drop down the hill, they begin lap number 6 of 10. Up and over the curbs now. You can see Pat quite strong for that last sector, as you can see, and he's getting now a nice run down the front straight in the slipstream of Jack Byrne in front of him. Trying to get the run towards turn number 1. Can he find any space? 50.7, fastest lap of the race. Does Pat go for it now? Byrne to the middle, but he has to back out of it, and Jack defends the inside line and going to be wide for Masterson. Does he lose it? He hangs on, but could that be now the lead battle over and done with his understeered straight off the road there? Pat Masterson, but did very, very well to keep that in check, and Ronan Hederman is getting that a bit closer now. He'll be hoping that happens again, but a very scary moment for Pat Masterson, but that could be now. Jack Byrne secures. We've got a car. That's Anthony Files who's just spun in front of them there. He's just off the road at the moment, but Pat did so well to keep that car in check, and now the gap up front opens to 2.8 seconds, and Ronan now should be in the draft of Pat in front of him through the winding sector, and we wait to see now if Ronan can secure himself maybe a 2nd place here. But there is Jack Byrne now. He's got some breathing space at last against Pat Masterson, but I'm sure Pat is still going to try and push on, because anything can happen, and we'll wait and see if it does. We'll head on to lap 7 of 10 across the line next time. Starting to come to some lap traffic now. I believe that's Aaron Dalton in front of Jack at the moment, and Aaron moves well out of the way down the back straight and does a nice job to get himself out of the way. You can see on the timing intervals, Ronan just kind of nipping under the 2nd barrier to Pat. It's kind of toing and froing between them. We'll see if Ronan can secure himself maybe a 2nd place here, if he can catch up to the back of Pat. But Pat is making inroads, slight inroads on there. Oh, as he spun again, Pat's off the road again. You can see him in the grass in the background, and Pat has to come back onto the track and he makes 2 errors. So Ronan moves to second, and Chris McCann now moves up to third. So obviously Pat pushing a little bit too hard. He runs off the road again and drops down to 4th spot. So Ronan Hederman into 2nd place now, and Chris McCann into 3rd. So the 2 teammates running 2nd and 3rd now. So you can see lap 4 incident between those 2 cars under investigation right now. But Ronan Hederman moving into 2nd place, and Chris into 3rd. Pat down to 4th now after that error in the last corner. I'm assuming he just got a little bit out of shape down the hill, had to take to the grass, and again made a great save to bring the car back into check. But Jack Byrne trying to get a little bit of redemption here today after losing the win last week on the final lap in the last corner. Can he now hang on to try and secure his first win of the championship and make our 3rd different winner in this championship so far? Oh, he gets out of shape on the curves right now. Be careful, Jack. Just bring it to the end. You got a nice gap of 4.2 seconds. Back to Ronan. Back to this battle now. Ben McClockery, Timothy England. That's Ben McClockery running around without a front wing. And as Ronan spun it, I think Ronan's made an error. Oh, Ronan's put it in the wall. Oh, Ronan Hederman running in 2nd place. He stuck it in the wall. And that looks like that's at Oak Tree. I think that, Ronan's put it in the wall at, I can't quite see where that was, but he's have to tow back to pit lane. And that now puts Paul Masterson back into 3rd spot. And it was indeed at Oak Tree. You can see it there, the barrier on the exit of the corner, and Ronan Hederman throwing away a 2nd place at there as we come across the line to begin lap number 8 of 10. So now Jack Byrne leads, Chris McCann is 2nd, and Pat is back on the podium in 3rd place as we go back to Neil Ferrier on a recovery drive. He likes to do this, doesn't he? Drop down the back and try to see how far he can bring himself up, but he's got Simon Wall now in front of him in P7, and Neil making some good inroads now in that 8th spot now. So slipstream now for Neil, should be able to get a run down to turn number 1 here. Gets in the draft, moves to the outside line, should be easy pickings now for Neil Ferrier, and he moves into 7th place. No real contest there as they move down into turn number 1. Simon's going to try now braking, but Neil's just very late and on the brakes, and moves up to 7th place now. Back now to 2nd place because now Chris McCann is in trouble because Pat Masterson is closing back in on him as they come up through the sector now. And Pat on a great recovery now after those 2 errors. Could be on now for a 2nd place, possibly, as we head down the hill, heading towards Oak Tree now. Pat getting very close to the back of Chris here. Through Oak Tree they come. And Pat now looking for the run out. He's within 0.4 of a second right now. May be able to try and get a run as they come up the hill now. I think Pat could have a chance of maybe going for the outside line here to switch to the inside for the bottom of the hill. He's closing in on Chris McCann in front of him. But is he close enough to go for an overtake? He's close, but he's not quite there to go for an overtake. And defense put up by Chris McCann there now on the... Now riding on board with Pat Masterson. Great shots here as he gets in the draft of the car in front of him. Down the hill they come. This is where he ran off the track earlier on. Now a good run out for Pat Masterson here. This is going to be, I think, an easy one. Chris McCann defends the inside line. Here comes Pat now with the outside line for turn 1. And can he now? He's going to have to try and go all the way around the outside. Fastest lap for Pat Masterson, 50.721. But a stern fight is going to be put up by Chris McCann, who sticks it back up the inside of turn 1. Pat has to yield, and he goes for the switchback line underneath, but he can't do it. Great defense by Chris McCann there into turn 1, and he's going to have to think about again. Max Hart goes off in the background there. He loses it through turn 1, but he manages to hang on to it very nicely, and that's Anthony Files spun on the exit of turn 3, and he keeps out of the way of everybody, but Chris defending very nicely. As we go back to look at this, Neil Ferrier on a charge. He's now got Dave Freeman in front of him, who is just in P6. So Neil is charging his way back up to the field here. Through the first sector they come. Back we go to Chris McCann, who's still hanging on against Pat Masterson here. This is a great fight between these two. Up and over the hill. Flicking it back to the left-hand side as we approach Oak Tree now. It'll be an interesting one with Jack Byrne is 8 seconds out in front at the moment. And really driving really well. Now we ride with Pat Masterson as he gets the drive out of Oak Tree. slipstream for him now. He was close last time, but is he going to be close enough to go for it this time is the question. Getting in the draft, McCann goes to the outside line. I think he knows that Pat's not quite close enough to go for this. As they come up and over the hill now, Pat gets close, but he's not going to go for it down the hill. McCann again defends the inside. He knows Pat's going to go for it there. We're going to have the white flag in the air this time by as we head on to the final lap. So can Chris McCann try and hang on to second? Jack Byrne takes the white flag here in Virginia. Last lap of the first race of the night. And over the start finish we come now with Pat and Chris as they fight it out now. So Pat is close this time, but he's not. Is he close enough as he was last time? Chris is going to hang it down the inside as he did last time. Pat, can he find the space? He's trying to force the inside, but he has to go for the outside line. Late on the brakes on the outside line, Pat Masterson. Can he hang it around the outside of Chris McCann? Chris hangs the inside. They leave each other room. And again, Pat can't quite do it. He's not alongside. Chris defends nicely, but this is going to go to the flag, I think, between these two. This is fantastic racing. So clean. Again, Pat tries to get a run. Chris covers it off as they come through the middle sector for the last time. Pat almost pushing Chris McCann through there, and he's going to have to think. He's already got to be thinking about Oak Tree right now. He needs the run out of Oak Tree, and he's going to have to send one down the inside of Chris McCann to try and get past here. But this is great racecraft between the both of them. Down through the middle sector they come now, looking back from Chris McCann, back at Pat Masterson. Look how close he is as they come through the middle sector here. Does he think about a move anywhere here? Chris is going to block like hell as they come through here, but Oak Tree's coming up right now, and he's going to have to force Pat to get a bad exit out of here. Pat looking very quick behind him here through Oak Tree now, looking back at the number 137 car of Pat Masterson here. Looks for the run out, and he's closer than he was the previous lap, but a good exit from Chris McCann that time. But this is going to go for a run to the line between these two, but Pat's now got to try and make this work down the hill. Very close, the 99 versus the 137. Up the hill they come for the final time in the sprint race. Pat, is he close enough? He's going to have to go for that outside line, which will switch to the inside. Chris will try and cover him off, but Pat, here he comes. Pat Masterson goes for it, late on the brakes on the inside line, but Chris covers it off on the outside, shuts the door. But it's going to be a run for the line between these two. But 9.4 seconds up the road, Jack Byrne is going to take the checkered flag for the first race. He takes his first win in the Pro-Am Championship. Byrne wins here in Virginia for the sprint race. Back to these two. Chris McCann versus Pat Masterson to the line. It's going to be very close, but I think Chris McCann might just have it. Here we go. It's going to be very close. Here they come. Who's going to get it as they come to the line? It's very close. Chris McCann by 400ths across the line takes second. Pat Masterson is third. Max Hart will be fourth. And it'll be Mark Byrne who'll cross the line for fifth place, with Dave Freeman and Simon Wall together in sixth and seventh spot right there. Fantastic, unreal racing between Chris and Pat there as they came across the line. Dave Freeman hangs on for a sixth place finish. Simon Wall in seventh. Neil Ferrier dropping to eighth after that one. Then it'll be Timothy England and Ronan Hederman in 10th. And then after that, it's Ben McClockery and then Damian Mullen and James Wingfield, Aaron Dalton, Anthony Ford, Damian Mulvey. But you can see Ben has done the entire race without a front wing on. And this one's a fair play to Ben for limping that car around. And excellent stuff from the guys today. Chris and Pat racing so cleanly all the way through. And really putting on the show there. James Winfield not finishing this race by the looks of it. And Anthony Files in 15th place. So Anthony gets across the line. That should be reverse grid pole there for Anthony Files, with Aaron Dalton next to him. So the top 15 are inverted in this race. Lap 10 is between car 6 and car 13 under investigation. Here's the official. That's not the official results actually. We're just going to. That's the qualifying results. We're waiting for every car to cross the line as we get it. Just waiting for. I think we're waiting for Anthony to cross the line before we can get the race results. Anthony's still not across the line here as we try to get the race results up.
Ahead of myself there, Jack. Yeah, we're waiting for everyone to come across the line, but what a fantastic race that was. Quite spread out at the end, but great racing from Jack Byrne and Neil working his way all the way back up. So hopefully now we can get the results. If we just wait and see, and that's the Heat 1 results coming up now. And that is not everybody in, so I'm not sure at the moment, Jack, what's going on. Old technology's killing us, but we will wait and see that. I think that is the official results.
There we go.
Now as we wait and see about the reverse grid. Just going to take some quick ads from our sponsors and we'll be right back to you.
They say that perfection doesn't exist in this game. Most players just don't have it in them. But those who dare to seek it might catch excellence. And that sounds perfect to me. So, I'm done playing. Let's drive.
Are you looking to get involved in simulator racing? Here at Digital-Motorsports.com, we're a one-stop shop for all your sim racing needs, supplying wheels, pedals, shifters, handbrakes, monitors, virtual reality headsets, seats, chassis, fully built sim solutions and custom-built PCs from all the top brands that we know of. To find out more, visit Digital-Motorsports.com.
But just a big shout out and thanks to our winter season partners, Raceway Group, SIMUCUBE, SimTag, and of course this is the iDMC in association with Motorsport Ireland, obviously by yours truly at Digital-Motorsports.com. Jack, great first race as we watched the driver just get out to get their warm-up laps in before the feature race, which of course is going to be a 15-lap race. It's hard to call as we look there at Ronan Hedman, as his photography profile picture jumps up from Mondello Park. Tough race in the end for Ronan. I don't know what happened to him. Did he lose it himself? I'm just trying to hear here from the stewards what they've seen of it, but I'm sure Ronan will be kicking himself.
Yeah, he was running really nicely there in second place, but ended up on the wall at Oak Tree. No, still not quite sure what happened to Ronan, but he still managed to get across the line for 10th, so he should be starting about 5th on the grid now for the reverse grid race, as they just tick into the last few seconds of warm-up. So we'll get the grid.
The stewards, it might have been, they're not investigating it as I can hear, but it might have just been something where he was caught up a little bit too quickly on the back of James Wingfield, so that could have been unfortunate for Ronan and the two guys, but I'm sure there was nothing malicious involved in it. A couple of other incidents are going to be reviewed after the race. Of course, but overall a fairly clean enough race, Jack. Looking forward to this feature.
Yeah, very, very clean race actually. Very impressed with the Pro-Am guys. As we now check flag comes out for warm-up, so that means only one thing. There's a feature race is on its way. Here we go. Here's your grid then. Anthony Files on the pole. Aaron Dalton. James Wingfield is third. Watch out for James in third. Damian Mullen is fourth. Ben McLaughlin in fifth, and Ronan Hedman will start sixth on this one. Timothy England in seventh, and Neil Ferrier will start eighth from this one. Simon Wall in ninth, and Dave Freeman 10th. Mark Byrne 11th. Max Hart in 12th. And then a little bit further down, we'll have Pat Masterson, Chris McCann, and at the very back, of course, Jack Byrne and Damian Mullen. So Jack will start from 15th for this race. Let's see if he can work his way back up through the order. But here we go. The feature race of tonight. It's round 4 of the Digital-Motorsports Pro-Am Championship. Here we go. Lights about to come on here at Virginia for the second race of the night. Anthony Files on pole. Green flag is out and we go racing. James Wingfield, a rocket ship start from the second row of the grid. Already challenging Anthony as they come towards turn 1. Anthony shuts him off as they head towards turn 1. Now, outside line for James Wingfield as they head into turn 1. But James rockets off the second row of the grid and slots in to second spot right now. Aaron Dalton's getting loose through turn 1, but he manages to keep it in front for now. Third for him as they head through now. But James Wingfield now already on the rear wing of Anthony Files, and James, of course, got that win taken away from him in the last few laps of the feature race last week. So we'll wait and see if he can hang on for this. Oh, around goes a car in the middle there. I think that's Timothy England. There's a couple of cars involved in this one. Big stack up in the middle, and that is going to be Ronan involved. There's a couple of others involved in that one as well, as with a few with damage as they head through. And Max Hart down to 9th right now, but back to the front we go. Anthony Files leads. James Wingfield on his tail. And then it'll be Aaron Dalton in third as they head up the hill for the first time for the feature race.
I'm just hearing from the stewards here in my ear as well. They've got their work cut out for them there, Jack. So a lot going on in that opening race. But what a start from James Wingfield. He just absolutely lit it up and connected those tyres up and got right up in behind the rear wing now of Anthony Fields.
I'll tell you who else made a start. Look at Jack Byrne. He started basically last. He's 5th at the moment. What a start from Jack Byrne. 15th on the grid. He's made 10 spots on lap 1. Make that 11. Oh, as he gets past Damian Mullen, coming down the start at the back straight, all around at the front. Anthony Files and James Wingfield coming together at the top of the hill. I saw a car spinning around, and James Wingfield around at the same corner. Aaron Dalton leads. Jack Byrne is up the 2nd spot after one single lap. What a drive from this young man from the back of the grid, and that is phenomenal. Damian Mullen is 3rd. Files went around. Masterson is 5th. Max Hart is 6th. McLaughlin, Ferrier, Simon, Timothy, England. But Jack Byrne has a shot at a win here after starting at the back row of the grid. 15th spot he started in, and he's already up to 2nd. That just shows that keeping yourself out of the instance, keeping clean, and that is what can happen. Just siding your way through the field up the 2nd spot. Damian Mullen running in 3rd right now. Anthony coming back there in 4th. Pat is back up to 5th now. Max Hart is 6th. Neil Ferrier, you can see the cars that were involved there. Chris McCann involved, Ferrier involved, Mulvey, Hederman. Oh, Aaron Dalton is around. Jack Byrne leads after his 2 laps. After starting from 15th on the grid. That's unreal.
That is unreal. Now, what we can say, I'm hearing in my ear from the race stewards here that they're just still looking back over it, but it looks like Mark Byrne is in a bit of trouble for that lap 1 T1 incident. But we're just looking in the background here as well. Pat Masterson. It's a great race, but what an opening 2 laps from Jack Byrne, Jack.
I'd love to see his onboard from that one after the race, if he's able to save the replay of that one, to see the rocket ship start he must have got there. But Pat Masterson now, he's on a good charge as well. He's got Anthony in front of him now, on course for a podium here, maybe. Double podium for Pat wouldn't be a bad result. Down the front straight, they go the back straight, but Jack Byrne's 3.6 seconds away. He's gone out the front in this one. As they come now towards the top of the hill, Masterson getting close to the back of Anthony Files here, up and over the hill, trying to keep himself in check right now in the 137. Has to back off a little bit as they come through there. Oh, Anthony gets loose, and through goes Pat, through goes Max, and a couple of others. So Anthony getting on the power a little bit too early out of that corner, and drops now down to 8th place in this race. So Jack Byrne, McMullen, and Masterson are your top 3 right now. 4.2 seconds for Jack Byrne.
He is
the field.
Absolutely flying out front, isn't he? 4.3 now, Jack, out in front. So just going to go back to Ben McLaughlin, who is really trying to hold off that position out from Anthony all the way back. I actually missed it. Did he just lock up, or did he lose it in the corner?
Certainly. Here, car 8 and car 6. That'll be Dave Freeman and Ron Hederman under investigation by the stewards. So that is of course Jordan Kelly, Peter McCann working hard. 2 of our pro drivers, of course. As they be looking at all the instances there. Here's Pat Masterson versus Damian Mullen. Pat trying to find some space here. These are 2 veterans of the championship here. Through goes Pat now. He's got the inside on Damian. And Damian just opens the door, lets him by. And Pat now, he's got to try and make up 5 seconds to Jack Byrne. So that's a big gap. There's a big gaggle in the middle now. James Wingfield, he's on a recovery drive right now. He's P7, made it back to 7th. In this race, and see if he can maybe try and get himself a little bit further up. He's got Timothy England in front of him, and could still be on for a good result here. Here's Anthony going to try and keep in front. There's going to be contact between himself and Ben McLaughlin, but they somehow keep it together, and they're now going to keep going side by side through the corner. There's a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact through there. Back up here now, Max Hart versus Simon Wall. Simon Wall trying to get himself up the inside of Max Hart, and he does. Up to 4th spot goes Simon Wall. Who's trying to keep himself, Oh, he gets a punt in the rear from Max Hart as they come up and over the hill. Missed his braking point by the looks of it, Max Hart there. And Simon Wall, the innocent victim in all that, loses the place and loses his rear wheel at the same time. And Timothy England says thank you very much as they come over the top. Car 13 and car 3 under investigation. Lap number 1.
I don't think we've
car 13 is James Wingfield, of course.
A race steward incident in this one, Jack, on the screen, but plenty of action in this one as we go back to James Wingfield and this gaggle of cars in the middle.
James trying to make his way past here. Simon recovering after getting a little helping hand from Max Hart, but he's now already back on his tail, actually, so good recovery from Simon. as they come through now. Timothy England getting a big four-wheel slide through the corner right there, trying to keep the car in check. Through now they come, but that instant is car 13, car 3. That's Anthony Files and James Wingfield under investigation, which was the contact at the top of the hill. There goes James trying to find some space on Simon Wall, can't quite get through. And now is to sit behind for a little bit longer. Already on lap 4 of 15 of this feature race, round 4 of the championship. Here comes Simon Wall on Max Hart, and he gets past this time with a great run. Post-race penalty for car 3, and there's going to be even more. Max Hart runs off the road, but they somehow don't crash and keep going. James Wingfield survives to fight another day, and that's going to be a post-race penalty for Anthony Files, I believe, is car number 3, who's going to get that post-race penalty for the contact with James Wingfield. So they carry on. So Simon Wall moves to 5th. James Wingfield now 6th on the back of Simon. And they carry on for now. But Jack Byrne leading. Pat Masterson is 2nd. And Damian's hanging on to a podium right now. It'd be great if Damian could hang on for a podium spot here in the feature. He's got 5.5 seconds back to Timothy England, who's 5th. But James Wingfield is going to be have something to say about that as he makes himself past Simon Wall. And 3.3 seconds now to make up to Timothy England in 4th. So we'll wait and see what's going to happen here, but it seems to me that Jack Byrne is pretty secure where he is, and this is going to be now the second feature race in a row where, well, as barring something drastic happens at the front, this is set to be the second feature race where the person who's won has started last. So we've got it's an interesting statistic. Neil Ferrier won from the back last 2 weeks ago, and Jack Byrne's going to do the same thing if he can keep himself in check at the moment. So nobody's ever won from pole in the Pro-Am in the feature race. So Jack Byrne's won from pole he's won from pole in the sprint, and now he's going to win if he keeps himself clean from last in this one. So he's doing a nice job.
10 laps to go at this stage, Jack, and he's 5.5 seconds out in front of the rest of the field. But it is an interesting statistic that nobody from pole has got on to win the race. Makes you think about these reverse grids in one sense.
Yeah, every winner has come from the last row of the grid, so it's the total opposite of what it should be. So that's the Pro-Am Championship for you. You can throw up some surprises. As we now... Oh, that's Damian Mulvey. I think he's caught on a curb. Damian's managed to get it caught. Big curbs at the top of the hill, and has now had to tow back to pit lane of getting it wedged. Anthony Files now, of course, he's got a post-race penalty, but he's got to deal with Chris McCann, who got caught up in that lap 1 crash as well. Here comes Chris. Where's he going to go to now? Moves round and gets past Anthony Files as they come down the back straight. Looks like Anthony's suffering with some damage on the front. And down the hill they come. And hanging on now, moving up to P8. He's got 2.4 seconds up to Ben McClockery. See if he can make that work. Lap 6 of 15 in this one. Jack Byrne 5.8 seconds ahead of Pat Masterson now, just slowly eking out a bit more. We know Pat's on a similar pace to him, so that gap's not going to open out as much as it did before. Timothy England now 6.4 off the back of Damian Mullen, but that's about to change because that position is about to be occupied by James Wingfield, who's all over him for that 4th and 5th place on this 6th lap of 15. So nearly at the halfway point. Lap, for instance, involving car 6 and car 51 is under investigation. So that's Ronan is under investigation there after an incident earlier on. Here is Ronan now. So there's an incident involving himself under investigation in this race. Back to now. This is the battle for 4th place. Timothy England versus James Wingfield, who's trying to recover after the lap 1 incident between himself and Anthony Files. He's going to get a nice run out of Oak Tree now. Slipstream for James. And now down the back straight they come. He lost the win last week. And I don't think he's going to be able to get one this way, but he's certainly going to give a good go of it and try and get himself back on the podium here. Here comes James Wingfield. Inside line. That won't be the inside for the corner down the hill. So Timothy might be able to come back at him down the hill here. But James says no. Makes his way through. Nice move up to 4th. At the same time, Chris McCann moves ahead of Ben McClockery for 7th. So making some good gains now. 5.4 seconds up to Damian Mullen. And at the pace he's going, he should be able to bring that down quite quickly. We'll be able to judge the pace now to come across 51s for our leaders in this race. There's Jack Byrne, 53.7 for Damian as they come across the start finish. 52.4. That was including the overtake. So James is lapping about a second a lap faster than Damian, who's in 3rd at the moment. So James should be on course. Lap 4 incident involving car 6 and 51. That is a penalty by the looks of it for Ronan after that incident. So he is in the naughty list by the looks of it. So he's going to receive a post-race penalty. So that's 2 penalties that have been applied today. 1 for Anthony and 1 for Ronan for various incidents. Lap 4 that one was. Anthony into the pit lane now. In 9th, I just saw as well Simon Wall got past Timothy England for 5th place as well. And okay, I thought Damian had dropped off the timing screen, but that's just a small glitch. He is still running in 3rd. You can just see him just up the road.
Yeah, I thought he was gone, but it's a great drive from James Wingfield to make us all the way back up. But he's a lot of work to do with just over halfway the race gone. But field quite spread out now at the moment. Jack Byrne opening up that gap to 7 seconds now to front with Pat Masterson in behind. Damian's holding his own, but I'm just going to stick with James here for a while. He's got it down and he's closing that gap in very quick.
Yeah, he's brought the gap down by a second in that lap alone, so he's on course to catch Damian quite quickly. You can just see Damian disappearing over the hill right there. There's your biggest movers. Jack Byrne up 14. That's basically from last. He started 15th. Pat Masterson as well up 11. So all those guys started outside the top 10. Wingfield down 1. He started in 3rd. Damian started 4th. So they just swapped positions, Damian and James. And Wall up 4. Chris McCann up 7 at the moment in P7 as he started. He started also basically on the last row as well. It's 2nd to last row. Next to Jack Byrne is where he started. Of course, he managed to get 2nd place. Anthony is files in the pit lane, and Chris is now chasing after Timothy England, who's in front of him, 2.6 in front. Here's Jack Byrne, 7.1 seconds clear of Pat Masterson, and now catching up to some lap traffic. That is Ronan Herdeman in front of him in P11. So he's going to now start to negotiate this lap traffic, hopefully safely, and try and be the first repeat winner in the Pro-Am Championship. We haven't had anyone win twice in this championship, and or in any of the tiers so far. In the Pro and the Pro-Am, there's never been anybody who's won twice so far this season. So Jack trying to make it 2 from 2. So we'll see if he's going to be able to do that and be the first person to win 2 races on the same night as well. So our first repeat winner and first double winner on a race night for Jack Byrne. Not a bad day as well. And basically a clean sweep. He's going for a clean sweep. He's going for pole. He's going for the sprint race. He's going for the feature.
What a drive it would be from Jack, in fairness. Unfortunately, I'm just looking here. We won't be able to bring up the live championship points on this one. Slight issues with that, but we'll calculate at the end. As we go back to James Wingfield here, he's clawing in onto the back of Damian Mullen now. He's got that down to under 2.5 seconds. He's absolutely flying at the moment, Jack, isn't he? As I say that, I give him the commentator's curse. He's straight off. He'll be cursing me for that one. So Damian Mullen off the hook as we look at that, but we'll go back to Chris McCann. He's coming under increasing pressure onto the back of Timothy England here. So has he got him up the inside? I think he has. There's going to be a run over the line. It's a great drive from Chris McCann at the moment. And I'm afraid we might have lost Jack for... Are you there, Jack? You may be gone. Oh, Chris makes that move 6, so that's Chris up into 6th position as he claws in onto the back of Simon Wall. But now James Wingfield with all the work to do again. Didn't lose that much. He's back 7 seconds. He's got just under 5 laps, just over 5 laps to do this. But out in front, Jack Byrne is absolutely dominating this race meeting. 8.5 seconds out in front. Pat Masterson going well behind. Pat just keeping his nose clean at this stage. And just managing that gap back to Damian Mullen, who would absolutely love to get a podium here tonight at VIR. Damian going well, but James will be kicking himself. Just put a foot wrong coming through the back sections, of course. Simon Wall back in 5th place, going particularly well as well. Having his own race at this stage, while Chris McCann back in 6th as well. Got all the work to do at this stage. 3.5 seconds, and behind him Timothy England, not letting him out of his sight that easily. Ben McCluckery then back in 8th place, all on his own again. Neil Ferrer in 9th place. Neil, of course, last week's hero, coming from the back of the grid all the way to win in the feature race. Not having the best of races today at VIR. Mark Byrne as well, a long way back. So Jack Byrne absolutely loving his race at this moment. Let's just ride on board and stick for all the lap with Jack Byrne. Looking at the back wheel of Damian Mullen here. I'm not sure what's happened to Jack, but it looks like Damian's had and coming together some form of contact. That's Damian out of race. So that is James Wingfield back up to 3rd place. He'll be delighted if he can hold on to that. But that is Jack Byrne now from Pat Masterson, from James Wingfield for the podium positions. But we're going to see if we can see what actually happened to Damian Mullen. Watching just be on his own. Did he just lose the car and head into the car wall? I think he did. He took the whole back off the car, so looked like he just got the braking wrong into the oak tree and the car just came around and went into the car walls. We go back to Chris McCann and Simon Wall. These two are having a great ding dong at the moment. So our top 10 is Jack Byrne from Pat Masterson, James Wingfield, Chris McCann up to 4th place from Simon Wall, who's just fallen off the back of Chris there, from Ben McCluckery, Mark Byrne in top 7, and Ronan Hederman is a long way back as he comes around the oak tree. I don't think Ronan's got damage on that car, but he's not having the best of races here at VIR. Then Timothy England, Neil Ferrer back into the pits. So we've nearly got half the grid this stage who've been into the pits. As we look at Damian Mulvey back in 11th place from Anthony Fields. I keep getting that wrong actually, so apologies to Anthony for that. Damian Mullen out of the race. Max Hart out of the race at this point. Dave Freeman out of the race, and Aaron Dalton out of the race. So really Jack Byrne having it all his own way out of front, and Pat Masterson in 2nd place is just keeping that gap to within 9.5 seconds. And James Wingfield is 16.5 seconds back, as that's a 150.779 for Jack Byrne. So still putting in fast laps. That's fast lap of the race, so not in letting Pat have half a chance, but Pat keeping within 9.5 seconds at this stage. As we look, Neil Ferrer back into the pits. So an unfortunate feature race here for a lot of the drivers. That lap 1 incident taking an awful lot of drivers with it. As we look at Pat Masterson here. He's going to come up on some back markers now. Just 3 laps to go, so I'm not sure who that is ahead. We'll just have a look. It is a gaggle of cars, so it's Damian Mullen. I think Ronan Hederman's in the middle of that mix as well, with Timothy England. So Pat Masterson is going to have to somehow navigate his way through this three-way battle as they come around the oak tree. And these guys are on the same lap, so this is for position. As Roland's making a move now, can he make that stick up the inside? I think he will be able to. He'll be on the outside going into the first section, then on the inside he makes way through. But it looks like he's already got the move done as they come up into the hill. And Pat, I just wondered, has he decided to just let these guys battle it out in front and take home his second place? But that wouldn't be like Pat at all now, I'd say. If anything, Pat's looking at this one to be in the mix of it. So we'll stick with Pat here for a minute, right on board. He comes up onto the back of Ronan Hederman. As Ronan sneaks it up the inside of Timothy England there, so Damian Mullen just out ahead of him. So a little bit of a gap here for Pat to try and weave his way through. And of course, there's all playing into Jack Byrne's hands. Jack is well and truly gone. 16 seconds up the road. Let's see if Ronan Hederman and Damian Mullen are in the same mood up ahead. I doubt they are. These two guys ahead. And we're actually watching now. Pat Masterson in second place. Coming up to lap Ronan Hederman, Damian Mullen. And to be honest, this is probably the closest racing on track we have at the moment. Most other people are out or in the pits. You can see that gap back to the rest of the field. He's in a class of his own for this race. He won't be too disappointed to see that Pat's being caught up in that traffic behind. I think at this stage Pat's just settled into that second place position, and James Wingfield has not been able to make too much. Wingfield's going to have that traffic now as well to get through and to stay out of trouble as well. I'm just looking as well. Hederman have some trouble. I think he did off the back of Damian Mullen, so he's falling back down again. This is James Wingfield in lapped traffic as well, as I think Pat has managed to get his way past Ronan at this stage as we head into the final lap here. White flag lap for Jack. As we just head over the time limit for the race, so just like look here, Damian Mullen was at the back, and I think Pat Masterson back up. He got an issue in the car, so all types of action happening at the back of the field. But Pat Masterson is through all that traffic now, but very little to do in terms of catching the back of Jack Byrne. James Wingfield, I think, is just playing it safe himself and staying out of trouble. As we go back to Jack Byrne, who, in a class of his own, really, as I've said it so many times, has had very little to do. Just stay out of trouble, keep pumping in the laps. Has the fastest lap of the race, got pole and the win. Just saying, I think that's Anthony Files has gone out of the race for an instant, but we go back to Jack Byrne as he comes over the line. 2 for 2 for Jack Byrne. Sorry, that is the checkered flag, yeah. So that is Jack Byrne, your white race winner from Pat Masterson, who managed to stay out of trouble and take that second place on the podium. That'll be good points from this weekend. If we go back, and you can just see the distance back to where James Wingfield is. He had a difficult enough race, but he's managed to gather it up well and collect his third place on the podium in those all-important championship points for the Pro-Am. In the end, Chris McCann was only 3.5 seconds back. Good racing from Chris to recover to where he did, but he'll be disappointed, I think, overall with the result. We go back to Simon Wall. Simon Wall again having a great race, but 12 seconds back down into 5th place. He'll take those points and be happy with that. And then we've a long way back to Ben McCluckery, coming around 6th place. But from a starting race of 16, we've 10 drivers who are going to finish this race, so 6 cars out. So we're just going to have a look here as we're going to see if we can get on board really quick with Ronan Hederman. This is for position. It's on the back of Damian Mullen here. So I'm not sure if he's back up there for any particular reason, but he's closing up and backing away. So I'm not sure if he has got damage on that car, but we'll stick with this. This is 4th position now. So this is McMullen against Hederman. As Mark Byrne stopped on the track up ahead, but we'll just see. So I'm seeing that these guys have actually been checkered flags, so that I don't think this is for a position at the moment. That didn't stick as we went over the 25 minutes of the race. Feature race results, and there we have it. So in fact, yes, they were already white flags. That was checkered flags. So it's Jack Byrne in the end taking a win from Pat Masterson, with James Wingfield, Chris McCann, Simon Wall, Ben McCluckery from Mark Byrne, Damian McMullen and Ronan Hederman. We thought they were going for there in that last lap, but in fact they've been checkered flagged already. So 8th place for Damian, 9th for Ronan Hederman. Timothy England rounding out the top 10. Then we have Damian Mulvey, Anthony Viles, Neil Ferrer. He'll be gutted with that result after putting in such a fantastic race. And then the all-time racer of Max Hart, not able to make those moves stick. Full 11 laps down. Max not having a great race at all. Aaron Dalton then in 15th place, and Dave Freeman. So we won't be able to pull up the championship points for this. Unfortunately, we're just having some technical issues, and we have lost our lead commentator. I wouldn't even call myself a commentator at this stage, of Jack Cannon. So if you're out there, Jack, we're missing you badly at the moment. But let's just see if we have anyone here at the moment that we could pull in. I think we have Jack Byrne, if he is there. Are you there, Jack Byrne? I think you're on mute if you are there, Jack. Well, he's gone out. I think we'll have to get someone else, unless he's able to get that unmuted. Are you there, Jack? No. So we've nobody else there at the moment. Let's see if we can get Pat Masterson in. Pat, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can, of course. Pat, how are you? Great racing. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, that was awesome racing. The first race was just brilliant with Christopher McCann, and I damaged in the second race, so I wasn't catching Jack Byrne at all.
We were suspecting there was something up there, but we were worried about you with the last few laps coming in. You had a few back markers to navigate through. Talk us through your race anyway. How did it go for you?
Yeah, it was the second race was just tight at first. It's a really, really tough track. It's really, really tight to try and overtake anyone, so just trying to take it steady, and there was a couple of incidents on lap 1, so I took advantage of them, lucky enough, so it was good.
Great stuff. And of course your first race went well, but you'll be happy with the points you're taking away here, Pat. We don't have the final tally of the championship points, but I think you'll be doing fairly well after that result today. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, or anyone want to say hello?
Just all the guys at Digital-Motorsports. Thanks for putting this on. It's unbelievable racing, and this is, I can't believe this is actually Pro-Am. Like, this is
it is
serious good racing.
They're very kind. Always great to see you out there Pat, and it's great to see you enjoying the racing as well. I'm just going to see if we can grab Jack Byrne in now again. We'll talk to you hopefully in 2 weeks' time again. Pat, take care.
Thanks.
Jack, have we got you this time? I'm not sure if we... No, he's gone out again. I'm not sure what's going on there with Jack. He's doing the hokey cokey in the interview room here. He's in and he's out. We'll just go to Neil again. Neil, I think you were the driver's rep for this race, if I'm not too mistaken. Dreadful race for you in the end. Talk us through what happened in the feature race there. You didn't go as well as 2 weeks ago.
Nah, to be honest with you, it's not a track that I've particularly enjoyed this whole time. Never done any races here before, so that lap one, race one kind of set it up for me. And again, I'm sorry to James for that. So.
Oh, no, you're fine. You were doing pretty well in the championship, but this is going to be a setback for you. Watkins Glen next. I'm sure you're going to put your head down. Possibly another track you're not too familiar with, Neil, is it?
To be fair, but hold up to this one, it's been a busy one in the sim racing world, because Bathurst just round the corner this weekend. And Watson Glen, I've done plenty of races round before, so I know my way around that. So I'll be putting some laps in for that for sure. But I just want to say well done to Jack, man. That was he's been in a league of his own this whole time, both in the practices during the week and.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can't get Jack at all. I'm not sure if he's having issues with his headset or whatever. Are you there, Jack?
Can you hear me now, Niall?
We can hear you now. We finally got you in. Neil, before I let you off, thanks for the shout out. Is there anyone else you want to say hello to before we move on to Jack?
No.
Just a big thanks to Damian for putting the car together, paint job together for me at the last minute before round one.
He's a top man for that, yeah.
Yep.
It's looking well.
And just well done to everybody for tonight's race, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks for Watson Glen.
Looking forward to it, Neil. Take care. Jack Byrne, I think you were still trying to get the helmet off there or something. We were trying to get an interview going to you. What the hell have you been taking these last 2 weeks? Because that is phenomenal. I think talk us through boat races actually. How was it from your point of view?
Yeah, race one, I had a good qualifying and I was on pole, so I had a good chance from the word go really. And just got going, put the head down, and I was having a bit of a battle for the first couple of laps with Pat Masterson.
Yeah.
And he had a bit of a lock up on turn one, so it was just kind of plain sailing from there really. Race two then, starting 15th, it was... I didn't know what to expect. I remember the last race in Indianapolis. I got caught up in a bit of damage in race two, so I was just going to try avoid any contact I could and keep the head down. And I don't know what happened on the first lap, but I went from 15th to second anyway.
Yeah, and you kept going from then. I think you were nearly 15 seconds ahead of Pat in the end. You're enjoying your sim race anyway, Jack. There's not much else going on this time of year, and you seem to be flying at it and enjoying this Pro-Am season.
Yeah, it's great fun. It's a good way to keep going over the winter as well when there's no other racing going on. So, good championship to be fair.
Good stuff. Anyone want to give a shout out to before we let you off?
Not anyone in particular. Just all the lads for getting the championship running and keeping it running. It's well run in fairness.
Well, you guys keep showing up and putting in the racing, and we'll keep putting on the shows. Thanks, Jack. I just have one last man in here. He's always a good supporter of Digital-Motorsports and VRA racing. Ronan, are you there?
Don't punish me, man. Don't punish me.
What do you want to tell us about that race? It just looked to be the most painful racing we've ever seen, and for a guy who turns up and puts his heart and soul into it every week, my heart went out to that. I'm not trying to put you on the spot or make you feel bad, but
No,
what do you have to do?
Literally, me and Chris were just like, right, heads down, just ignore everything else. And I was like, I have P2 in the bag. I kept saying that to myself, and just that one corner. It's the one corner I've been struggling with all week, but up to like an hour before the race, where Evan and Chris were telling me, stay left at the tree, and you'll get in a nice turn in there. But between that then and race two was just unavoidable, and yeah, just one of those weeks.
It is, yeah. So anyone who want to give a shout out to Ronan before I wrap this stream up, I think everyone's had some type of crash tonight. We've lost Jack.
Yeah.
I think my system's crashed here. I think everyone just wants to go and get a beer or get into bed at this stage.
Yeah,
Who
to
do
you
wanna
guys
give a
at
shout out to?
Motorsport. Yeah, and the guys in VRA Racing. So next thing now is Bathurst at the weekend. So head down for that. But
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
no,
I
I
wanted
read-
to talk to you about. You guys, that's going to be big demand at the weekend. How's that coming along for the VRA racing team?
yeah,
A lot
everyone's
of
on
people
pace.
Are putting a lot of practice into it, but you guys reckon you're thereabouts in terms of pace?
Yeah, we're thereabouts, and we've two fairly strong teams going into it. And endurance racing is kind of VRA Racing's bag. So really looking forward to it.
Okay, well, cool. Ronan, talk to you soon, mate. Take care.
Cheers,
Thanks for
man.
turning up tonight. And
Thanks very much.
I guess it's up to me to wrap up this stream. A huge thanks to our sponsors, as always, Sureway Group, SimTag, SIMUCUBE, and of course, as always, in association with Motorsport Ireland. I've been Niall Meyer. That's been one hell of a race for the Pro-Am Championship. Thanks to everyone who decided to join in and watch this racing here tonight. 2 weeks' time, we're back with the Pro-Ams in Watkins Glen, but next week we're back to the pros and they'll be taken to Watkins Glen. So I'll sign off with a couple of our ads. As always, thanks very much. Hit like and subscribe, as I say, if you're watching us there on YouTube. There is some cool competitions coming up next week where you can win a SIMUCUBE 2 Pro. So make sure and check that out. That's to name the driver of the race in the Pro Series. So do join us next week on YouTube for that. Otherwise, from me, Slán go fóill.